Alliance, tape 3. Going to Butler to stay the night. I left my car in Fort Wayne. They will come across Zanny Dook, who has disappeared, is missing in action, and his car is abandoned at the Carbola.
What kind of car?
A Subaru Impreza, Outback Sport Wagon.
96! EJ 2.2, all-wheel drive 5-speed. I wake up this morning, I holler at you on the phone for about 20 minutes or whatever, and then I get my ass in the shower and start getting ready to go to work. All of a sudden my phone rings, and Steph answers, I hear her say he's in the shower. I'm like, well, give me the, let me holler. So she gives me the phone, and I'm all standing in the shower, put it on speaker, I'm holding up the air, I'm like, what's up, Dut? And it was Zanny Dook. He says, this is Zanny Dook. My car broke down, I'm stranded, come and get me. I'm like, all right, where are you at? He said, on the corner of 101 and County Road 64. So I'm like, all right, I'll be there as soon as I can. I'm getting out of the shower right now. I rinsed off and all that, got out of the shower, hauled over, seen him there. He was hollering with the old man. The old man said he thought it might have been a thermostat, this and that. Something. I'm like, all right, is it leaking coolant? No. Is it using coolant? No.
That can't be the thermostat, because Zanny Dook had an issue where he forgot, he checked all his fluids, he forgot to put the radiator cap on. He was driving around and blew all kinds of coolant everywhere.
He told me he filled it up and put the cap on tight, and since then it has overheated on him about 4 times.
Yeah, because it don't have enough coolant in it.
After he topped it off and put the cap back on.
Yeah, but you got to let it run right and watch it to get the air bubble out. But you can fill it up and fill up the radiator, and you think it's full until it sucks it down, and blam, it's half empty. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, he claims that he's topped it off, left him, it overheated on him a couple times. So I said maybe the thermostat.
And you can't top it off while it's hot, or it's just going to puke back out on you. Really, he would have been fine if we topped off his coolant again, but now that he's busted off the fucking bolt to the water pump, now it's a perpetual problem. But that's really all it needed was just the air bubbles burped out. And now it's resulted in a broken thermostat bolt.
Which
over some old man telling him this and that when the old man really didn't know what the problem was, all because Zanny Dook decided to check his fluids one day and forgot to put the radiator cap on. So yeah, that's all it would need is just, topped off and run it, top it off, run it, top it off, but now it's too late. The fucking bolts broke off.
Right.
Unless you can put a vice clamp on it.
Well, when I was towing him back, I'm like, Zanny Dook, you ever done this before? He says, yeah, which I knew that he hadn't. I'm like, all right, you gotta ride the brake pretty much all the time. If I'm going downhill, you gotta ride the brake, keep the strap tight all the time. All right, needless to say, the strap got loose on several occasions and came unhooked several times. I made it back to Carbola, dropped him off there. I went back to my apartment. I said, look, Zanny Dook, I gave him a couple tools. I gave him a 12 and a 1/4-inch drive ratchet. I gave him a 10 millimeter socket on a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. 3/8 drive. I'm like, here you go, this is the tools you need. And I gave him a little tube of orange high-temp silicone, RTV. Use this after you pull the thermostat housing off and yank the thermostat out. I said, you're gonna lose coolant, so get a bucket or something, pull that out, and then goop that on there after it's, dry it and shit, put it back together and add water and coolant back to it. You should be fine. I told him you won't have no heat because it's gonna overcool, so you turn your heat on, it might be lukewarm tops. He's like, all right. And I told him, I said, I'll be getting off work at like 4. This was about 1:45. I'm like, I gotta go to work at 2. I'll be home by 4. So if you have any trouble, then stay here. I'll be back. If you don't, then drive the car and my tools and shit to your crib in Fort Wayne. I gotta go to Fort Wayne anyway. And I'll pick the shit up there. He's like, all right. So then I left and went to work. Next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call talking about, where's Zanny D? I'm like, I don't know. Everybody's hollering, talking about they can't find him, and I'm calling, nobody knows. I'm like pissed on it, I gotta go.
Well, if we don't find Zanny Dook anywhere today, what should we do? Do you think we should try to fix his car and drive it back to Fort Wayne? Because really he's not gonna have no way to come back for it without us being involved. And we could try to drive it back like it is, but where it's at, and if you got tools and parts, we could take a crack at fixing it. But the only thing is the water pump is driven by the timing belt on those. So we're gonna have to make sure we keep track of our timing belt alignments and stuff too. So what do you think? Maybe about an hour's worth of work, replace the water pump.
Well, I gotta go over to the garage. I kind of got my schedule full. I gotta go to my old schools, eat, and then I gotta go to the garage and load all that shit back up in the garage because we're not taking it right now.
Is it in the Carbola?
It's inside the Carbola building.
Damn. Well, if we grab a water pump off one of your shits or whatever, then I guess I'll just have to fix it, and then I could drive the car back to Fort Wayne. That way at least the car will get back to him, and that'll get me a way back also. Swap one. Now you say you got a water pump on your spare motor there?
I should have a spare water pump that's already been puked off a motor.
Oh, really?
Should have.
All right, yeah, so...
Maybe.
So worst comes to worst, we'll just have to replace the water pump because the bolt's stripped out.
Right.
Well, I guess we'll try to drill it, but if we can't get it straight... If you drill it... Okay, so that head's torqued off, there's probably no torque behind it because I bet that bolt threads through.
So if we could just take the other bolt out, pull that thing off there, and see if we can get that...
If that bolt threads through to where instead of it bottoming out inside its bore, if it, you know, it's open behind it, I mean, that bolt will turn out by hand. So I can just drill a hole in there, stick something in there to catch it, and then turn it out.
Just turn it out, and then put another bolt in there.
Yeah, that'll save us from having to turn the... You know, but that's going to rely on the fact if we get a drill in there.
We don't need a drill.
Does your dad
use the socket to take the other bolt out? There's two bolts. Take the one good one out, poke the thing out of the way, and then take the little stub, the little stud.
Yeah, because it should be broke off even with the top of it there.
Right, and peel that, thread that out if you can.
Yeah. So we'll give that an attempt, but we'll have a whole water pump handy. That's what it's going to take. But that's going to involve taking the crank pulley off and taking all that plastic off and shit.
It's going to be a pain in the A.
And if it comes down to taking the belt off, you can't slip the belt back over, then we're going to have to fuck with that tensioner, which is going to involve a vice grip and a paper clip. Vice clamp and a paper clip.
We'll see what we can do with it. We'll know more once we see it. Then we'll know more what we can do with it. We'll know what our options are. We're going south on I-69 right now. Or north, I mean. We're heading back up towards Michigan area. We're going to Butler. You feel how my car's kind of wobbly?
Pile driver.
It's a wanna Sub. I wish I had a Sub, but I wanted to buy this cheaper model instead.
You know that the Lancer Evo 8 fuel injectors are a direct fit on an E82 turbo?
I did not know that.
Yep. Just like a WRX clutch will fit on an E82 transmission.
Really?
Yep. So that's how you get, you know, if you want to beef up an older Sub, what you do is you retrofit newer stuff and then take advantage of the aftermarket available for the newer stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Well, let's say, for example, Trash Wagon 6, now that it's got legacy struts in it, you can put legacy hubs and then start going with fucking WRX STI Brembo shit on it. The only thing that hasn't been figured out is the rear suspension. You probably have to make some custom links.
Just past the next turn, following a little Saturn, and about far away as that Grand Dam it is, maybe a little bit closer to us. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, they hold a cup out the window, out the passenger window, just holding it out there.
Well, they're throwing pop bottles out first, like empty bottles.
Yeah, they were. They was just kind of chucking them. Well, they had this fucking cup, and he's holding out his window, and he goes wham, and throws it straight up in the air, and like it's gonna come down, and gonna hit us. And I don't remember if it did hit us or not. Maybe our bumper or got close to hitting us.
Well, just the idea they kept throwing shit. I throw like a couple like empty Avion bottles and shit, and then that cup we pulled up behind him and shit.
The cup's what set it off.
Yeah, the cup
was right here
we knew
where
that they were fucking off with us.
Where everybody's braking at. They were turning left right here, and we whipped over here into this right lane to go around them. We got it beside.
Yeah, they were turning.
Wham! We chucked that shit and it hit his A-pillar.
Fucking landed right here, and all the fucking ice comes in and across the dashboard, all over the fucking driver and passenger, and the rest of the cup goes down over the hood. They go to a screeching halt, and all see all ice cubes slam down their hood. Then they fucking pull up behind us.
They pull up behind us.
They was about ready to turn. I stopped. I was driving. I stopped right in the road, right before they, you know, they just kind of sat behind us like we was about to jump out Mafia style. These guys just kind of sat there for a minute and then turned off.
We turned off and got the hell out of town.
Fuck yeah,
they seen us stop. They knew we weren't fucking around.
Dude, we should have jumped out of the car Mafia style.
We should have.
We should have.
We should have.
Man.
We were so close to. They knew they fucked up when we stopped, because they're like, oh, these guys, they thought they were just gonna chase. They're like, oh, we'll scare them. We'll just chase them around for a little bit.
Yeah, then we stopped.
Hell no, we stopped. They're like, oh shit, we just fucked up. And they turned left. They left us alone because they knew they messed up.
Fuck yeah, don't mess around with a bunch of boys in a Subaru Alliance, Butler Mafia.
That's right.